Evening arrives without announcing itself. It does not hurry. It does not make demands. It simply settles, as it always does, easing into the spaces between things. The light softens first. The sky, once bright and open, now rests in gentle layers of pale blue and muted lavender, as if someone has brushed the colours on slowly, then stepped back to let them breathe. Clouds drift without intention, thin and unhurried, stretching and thinning as they move. Nothing pulls them along. They go because going feels natural. Below the sky, the village waits. Stone paths curve through it in quiet patterns, worn smooth by countless footsteps that never needed to rush. The stones are cool now, holding onto the day's warmth in a way that feels patient and kind. They do not release it all at once. They let it go gradually, so the air above them remains gentle. Cottages rest along these paths, small and sturdy, their walls shaped by time rather than design. Each one leans into the evening in its own subtle way. Some catch the last light on their windows. Others already sit in shadow, content to be there. Roofs slope softly, as if bowing toward rest. Lanterns have begun to glow, not all at once, not in any pattern that needs noticing. One lantern warms near a doorway, its light round and calm. Another follows farther down the path, then another, until the village seems to breathe with small, steady points of gold. The light does not push back the darkness. It simply shares space with it. I walk slowly through this quiet. My steps are familiar to the stones. My presence is known. I have walked these paths in many evenings like this one, and each time feels the same in a way that brings comfort rather than repetition. The air touches my skin gently, carrying a hint of cooling warmth, the kind that arrives just before night fully settles. I hold a small basket at my side. It is not heavy. It does not need to be. Inside are simple things: a folded cloth, a book with a soft cover, a small bundle of chalk wrapped carefully so it won't scatter. Things that belong to days filled with gentle attention, with patient listening, with guiding young minds as they move through letters and numbers and quiet wonder. The basket swings slightly as I walk, matching my pace. There is no hurry to reach anywhere. The evening stretches wide, and time feels less like a line and more like a soft surface. Something you move across slowly, leaving no marks behind. A breeze moves through the village. It is light enough that it does not disturb anything. It only reminds the leaves that they are leaves. The curtains, in open windows, that they can sway, if they wish. It carries faint traces of warmth from stone walls and the subtle scent of wood and earth. I breathe it in without thinking about it. Breathing feels easy here. Somewhere nearby a door closes gently, not with finality, just with care. Another lantern brightens slightly as its flame steadies, then rests again. The sounds are spaced far apart, leaving plenty of room for quiet to settle between them. I pass the small square at the center of the village. During the day, it holds laughter and movement and the soft chaos of children learning and playing. Now it is wide and calm, the stones pale beneath the lantern light, the edges fading softly into shadow. A bench rests where it always has, waiting without expectation. I pause for a moment, not because I need to, but because the stillness invites it. Standing here, I can feel how the day has gently let go of itself. The busyness has thinned, not disappearing, but settling into something softer. The hours ahead feel open and quiet, like an unmarked page that does not ask to be filled. The lanterns hum faintly, not with sound exactly, but with presence, with warmth that seems to stay close to the glass, content to glow rather than shine. As I move again, my footsteps are quiet, nearly blending into the evening itself. The path curves toward the edge of the village, where cottages grow a little farther apart, where gardens stretch slightly wider. The air changes just a little here. It carries the scent of herbs and soil, of things that have grown slowly under patient care. A faint sweetness lingers, perhaps from flowers that close themselves as night approaches, their work for the day already done. I think of the children, not in a way that pulls or tugs, but in the gentle background way thoughts sometimes rest. They'll be indoors now, voices lower, movements calmer, books closed carefully, lessons set aside without pressure. Tomorrow will arrive when it does. For now, everything is allowed to be unfinished. A cottage window glows softly as I pass. Inside, shadows move slowly across walls, unhurried shapes that suggest routine rather than story. Someone sets something down. Someone smooths a cloth. The details do not ask to be known. I continue walking. The path narrows slightly, stones closer together, as if encouraging smaller steps. The lanterns here are spaced farther apart, creating pockets of shadow that feel gentle rather than empty. Each step moves from light to dark and back again. The transition so smooth it barely registers. Evening deepens. The sky darkens by degrees, so small they are almost imagined. Colours sink into one another, blue becoming deeper, then softer again, until it feels less like a colour and more like a feeling overhead. I arrive at the small schoolhouse. It is quiet now, windows dark, door closed. The stone walls hold the memory of voices and learning, of careful explanations and small discoveries. I rest my hand briefly against the cool surface near the door, feeling the day's warmth, still there, faint but present. The moment stretches, then it passes. I turn back toward the heart of the village, my basket lighter in feeling than before, even though nothing has changed inside it. The air seems thicker with calm now, as if the village has fully exhaled. Lantern light pools on the stones, round and steady. Footsteps, perhaps my own, perhaps someone else's, sound once, then fade. Somewhere a kettle is set aside. Somewhere else, a curtain is drawn partway closed, leaving a thin line of light that does not mind being narrow. As I walk, my thoughts drift without direction. They do not need to settle on anything. They move like the breeze did earlier, touching and passing, never lingering long enough to matter. The village continues to be itself. Stone paths, small cottages, lanterns glowing patiently. Evening wraps around it all, not as an ending, but as a soft place to rest. I keep walking. Time loosens its grip, and everything remains calm. The evening settles more deeply now, not in a way that marks a moment, but in the way water slowly fills a shallow bowl, rising so gradually that it is only noticed after some time has passed. The village adjusts without effort. Doors that were open earlier are eased closed. Windows glow more steadily, their light no longer competing with the sky. I walk on, my pace unchanged. The stone path curves past cottages where small routines unfold, each one familiar, each one unremarkable in the most comforting way. A lantern is lifted from a hook, its flame checked briefly, then left alone. Another is set just inside a doorway, casting light that spills outward in a soft, uneven shape. The air carries the quiet scent of food being prepared. Nothing elaborate, nothing urgent. Simple warmth drifts outward, mingling with the coolness of evening. A hint of bread, something simmering slowly, watched without concern. The smells do not pull attention. They simply exist, layered gently over the village like another form of light. I pass a garden where someone has paused in their tidying. Tools are set down neatly. Soil is brushed from hands. Leaves rustle softly as they settle back into stillness. The garden looks much the same as it did an hour ago, and much the same as it will tomorrow. That sameness feels reassuring. A neighbor moves along the path ahead of me, not close enough to greet, not far enough to disappear. Their footsteps are slow, unhurried, matching the rhythm the village seems to set for everyone. We walk in the same direction for a while, not together, not apart. Eventually, they turn toward their home, and the space they leave behind fills easily with quiet. Lanterns continue to be lit. Each one seems to glow just slightly differently, as if reflecting the small variations in the evenings they have seen. Some cast warmer light. Some are a little dimmer, content to be so. None of them try to stand out. I adjust the basket at my side, shifting the handle from one hand to the other. The motion is familiar, practiced without thought. The basket swings once, then settles. Inside, the book rests against the folded cloth, edges softened by use. Chalk waits patiently, untouched for now. The path brings me past another cottage. Inside, someone tidies a table. A surface is cleared, then wiped, then left as it is. A chair is pushed in gently. Another is left slightly askew, as if to remember where someone sat not long ago. The light from the lantern inside flickers once, then steadies. That steadiness feels important, though nothing depends on it. I continue walking. The village feels smaller at this hour, not because anything has changed, but because attention has narrowed. The wider world feels farther away. The edges soften. What remains is what has always been here. Stone beneath my feet, air against my skin, light at a careful distance. Near the center again, I see someone lighting the last lantern along the path. They pause for a moment after it catches, hands still on the pole as if waiting to be sure. Then they step back, satisfied, and move on. The lantern hums faintly with warmth, joining the others in quiet agreement. I stop near the square once more. Not because there is something to do, but because stopping feels as natural as walking did earlier. The bench rests where it always has, I smooth my hand along its surface, feeling the grain of the wood, worn smooth by years of use. I sit. The stone beneath the bench is cool, steady. The air here carries more distant sounds now. A soft clink of dishes, a door closing farther away. Footsteps echo briefly, then fade. I watch the lantern light shift. Not moving exactly, but breathing, brightening and dimming in tiny ways that are easy to miss. Shadows stretch and soften along the edges of the square, never sharp, never startling. After a while, I stand again. The movement is slow, deliberate, kind to the body. There is no stiffness, no rush, just the simple act of rising, weight shifting, balance found. I walk toward my own cottage now. It sits along a quieter path, where the lanterns are fewer and the shadows longer. The path narrows, encouraging attention to each step, though nothing would happen if one wandered slightly. A familiar door waits at the end. I set the basket down beside it before opening it, taking a moment to breathe in the stillness that gathers here. The lantern beside my door casts a gentle circle of light, just wide enough to be welcoming. Inside, the air is warm. Not hot, not cool, just right. I light a candle, though the lantern's glow already reaches inside. The candle's flame steadies quickly, as if it knows this place. Shadows take their places along the walls, soft and unmoving. I tidy without hurry. The basket is set on the table. The cloth is folded again, though it does not need it. The book is placed on a shelf among others that rest there quietly. Chalk is returned to its small wooden box. Each action is small, each one complete on its own. I pour water into a kettle, set it near the warmth, and leave it there. It does not need watching. It will warm when it does. I smooth the surface of the table once more, not to clean, but to feel its familiarity beneath my hand. The grain runs just as it always has. Outside, the village continues its gentle rhythm. Lanterns glow, doors close, footsteps slow. I move through my space, adjusting small things that do not require adjustment. A chair turned slightly, a curtain drawn part way, then left. The candle flickers, then steadies again. Eventually, I step back outside. Not because I forgot something, but because the evening still invites wandering. The door closes behind me with a quiet sound that feels final only for a moment, then becomes just another part of the village's hush. I walk again. The same paths, the same stones, the same light. Everything repeats, but nothing feels stuck. The repetition is gentle, like breathing, like the steady return of waves that never count how many times they have arrived. The evening continues to unfold without effort, and I move within it, one quiet step after another. The village grows quieter, not all at once, but in small, almost unnoticeable ways. Sounds that were once clear become distant, movements slow even further. The spaces between moments stretch, widening gently, as if the evening itself has decided there is no need to move quickly anymore. Lantern light feels warmer now. It gathers close to the glass, creating small halos that rest on stone and wood without spreading too far. Each pool of light remains content where it is, illuminating just enough, leaving the rest untouched. I walk along the path again. The stones feel smoother beneath my feet. their edges softened by shadow. The air carries the faint scent of oil from the lanterns, mixed with cooling stone and something green, something that suggests leaves and quiet gardens. A door closes somewhere nearby. The sound is soft, rounded, without echo. It settles into the air and disappears, leaving no space behind it. I pause near a cottage where warmth drifts outward. Inside, a fire has been tended carefully, not stirred, not fed, just watched. Its presence is suggested rather than seen, felt in the gentle warmth that meets the cooler evening air. The smell of wood lingers. It does not travel far. It does not insist on being noticed. It simply exists, layered among other quiet scents, each one fading into the next. I continue walking. Footsteps sound, then soften, then seem to vanish altogether, though I am still moving. The village absorbs sound easily at this hour, holding it briefly, then letting it go. Lanterns sway just slightly. Not enough to draw attention, only enough to remind the air that it can move. The light shifts almost imperceptibly across the stone paths, creating patterns that do not repeat exactly, though they feel familiar. I pass the small square once more. It looks much the same as before, perhaps even quieter. The bench rests in shadow now, the lantern light just touching its edge. The stones reflect a muted glow, as if remembering the day rather than showing it. Somewhere, soft footsteps cross the square. They pass through the light, then out again, leaving no trace. The sound fades quickly, replaced by stillness that feels deeper for having been briefly disturbed. I breathe slowly. The air enters and leaves without effort. Each breath feels much like the last. There is no need to mark them. The village seems to breathe too. Lantern flames flicker, then steady. Curtains shift slightly, then fall still. The air cools by a fraction, then holds. I walk past gardens that rest quietly now. Plants have folded inward, leaves angled toward the earth. The soil smells rich and calm, holding the memory of warmth. Nothing stirs there. Nothing needs to. A faint sound carries from far away. Perhaps water moving over stone. Perhaps the soft settling of wood as it cools. It is not important to know. The sound arrives gently, stays briefly, then dissolves into the evening. I walk the same path again. The repetition feels softer each time. Lantern, stone, shadow. The order remains, but attention drifts, smoothing the edges of each detail. The village begins to feel less like a collection of places and more like a single, continuous space, wrapped in quiet light. I pause near my door once more. The lantern beside it glows steadily, unchanged. Its light touches the threshold, the stone, the edge of the path. Beyond that, everything fades into soft darkness. I stand there for a while. Time feels wide here, unmarked, uncounted. The air holds a gentle warmth, just enough to be comforting. The scent of the candle inside mixes faintly with the outdoor air, creating a blend that feels familiar, safe. I step inside, then back out again, not fully choosing one or the other. The door remains open, allowing light to spill softly onto the path. The lantern outside continues its steady glow. Inside, shadows rest where they have settled. I move between these spaces slowly. Inside, outside, light, shadow. Each transition feels smooth, almost unnoticed. Eventually, I remain outside. The village feels more still now than before. Fewer sounds reach me. Even the lanterns seem quieter, their presence more felt than seen. I walk once more along the path. The stones reflect less light now, absorbing it instead. The shadows grow deeper, though never sharp. Everything remains soft, rounded, calm. The breeze returns briefly. It moves through the village like a quiet thought, touching lanterns, leaves, curtains, then passing on. The air cools slightly in its wake, then steadies again. I stop walking. Standing feels enough. The village continues around me without requiring my movement. Lanterns glow whether I pass them or not. Doors remain closed or open as they were. The evening does not depend on anything changing. I rest there, in that stillness. The same sounds repeat, but quieter now. A faint clink, a soft step, the low murmur of fire settling. Each one arrives gently, then fades more quickly than the last. The village grows softer, edges blur, details thin, light dims just a little more. Everything continues, but with less insistence. And I remain within it, moving only when movement feels natural, pausing when pausing feels right. The evening deepens without needing to be noticed. The evening rests more deeply now. It does not arrive at this depth. It simply finds itself there. The village continues in the same gentle way it always has, though everything feels slightly more distant, slightly more softened, as if viewed through a thin veil of warmth and shadow. Lantern light remains. It has not grown brighter or dimmer in any noticeable way. It simply exists, steady and patient, casting its quiet circles on stone paths and cottage walls. The light no longer reaches as far, or perhaps it never did. It is difficult to tell. I walk again. The movement feels slower now, though my steps have not changed. The path seems to accept each footfall without sound, without resistance. Stone meets soul, then releases it gently. A door closes somewhere. The sound is so soft it almost blends into the silence around it. Afterward, the quiet feels fuller, as though it has settled more comfortably into place. I pass the same cottages once more. Their shapes are familiar, their outlines softened by shadow. Windows glow faintly, some brighter than others, some nearly dark. Inside, routines continue at an unhurried pace. A dish set aside, a cloth folded, a candle adjusted slightly, then left alone. Nothing calls for attention. Nothing needs response. The air feels cooler now, though still kind. It carries the faint scent of lantern oil and old stone, of wood that has held warmth for many evenings before this one. The smells blend together, indistinct, forming a quiet background rather than separate notes. I breathe in slowly. The breath moves easily. It leaves just as gently. Breathing feels like part of the village now, something shared rather than personal. I pause, near the square again. The bench remains where it has always been. Lantern light brushes its edge but does not fully reach it. The stone beneath reflects a muted glow, more memory than light. I sit. The moment stretches without asking anything of me. Sitting feels complete on its own. Standing will feel complete later, when it happens. A faint sound drifts through the air. It could be a distant step. It could be wood settling. It could be nothing at all. The sound fades quickly, leaving behind a deeper stillness, one that feels settled rather than empty. After a while, I stand again. The movement is slow, careful, smooth. There is no stiffness, no effort. Balance arrives easily, as it always does here. I walk toward my cottage once more. The path feels shorter now, or perhaps attention has simply narrowed. Lanterns along the way glow softly, their light less defined, their edges blurred. I stop near my door. The lantern beside it remains unchanged, its flame steady, its glass warm. The light pools at my feet, then fades gently into shadow beyond. I rest my hand on the door for a moment. The wood feels familiar, solid, calm. I do not open it yet. Outside, the village rests in layers of quiet. Inside, warmth waits without urgency. There is no need to choose between them. I remain there. Time feels wide again, then narrower, then wide once more. It moves without pattern, without marking itself. Eventually, I step inside. The door closes softly behind me, the sound barely noticeable. Lantern light outside remains. Candlelight inside glows gently. Shadows rest where they fall. I set the candle lower, not extinguishing it, just allowing its light to soften further. The room feels smaller now, not in size, but in focus. I sit. The chair supports me without sound. The floor beneath remains cool and steady. The air inside holds a quiet warmth that does not change. Outside, the village continues. Lanterns glow. Paths rest. Doors remain closed or open as they were. I'm aware of these things without thinking about them. Breathing slows. Thoughts drift. Then thin. Then drift again. Nothing pulls them in any direction. The evening deepens further. Sounds become rare now. When they do arrive, they are so soft they feel like part of the silence rather than interruptions. Each one fades quickly, leaving no echo behind. I remain still. Movement feels unnecessary, though still possible. The candle flame flickers once, then steadies. Shadows soften further, their edges dissolving into the walls. Outside, lantern light continues to glow patiently. The village does not sleep all at once. It simply rests, layer by layer, each part settling when it is ready. I rest too, not sleeping, not waking, just resting within the quiet that surrounds everything. The evening continues. The village continues. Lanterns remain lit. Stone paths remain where they are, and nothing needs to change.